Well, what is it? Today is Sunday evening. It's been a great day. I've kind of been, how do I say this in a lady kind of way, but tomorrow night the LSU Tigers are taking on Clemson Tigers down in New Orleans, and you may hear from Golf a couple of times. We've got a group of Auburn friends that we all have a group text, so there's been a little bit of trash talking going on. But there's not a day goes by that I don't get a question asked, how did I know this whole thing with this cancer story? So if you didn't know, I got cancer. How did you find out you had cancer? So early November, which was basically 2 months ago, I had a bad tooth on the left side of my mouth here, and I reached back there, I touched it because it was sharp and it was cutting my tongue, and I felt this cylinder knot. So it was like this, but it was right down the very center of my tongue. As I touched this, I was like, well, that's just kind of strange. So I called Ashley into the kitchen, and I said, hey, Ashley, come here. And so she said, what you got? And I said, touch this in my mouth. And she goes, I'm not sticking my finger in your mouth. I said, no, I'm serious. I guess she thought I was going to bite her or something. I don't know. So she touched it, and she was like, oh, that ain't supposed to be there. And I've had a sore throat for probably 9 months. Been to the doctor, urgent care, at least 5 times. They give me throat lozenges and all this stuff. And so the next morning, I went to urgent care. And that doctor, he put a tongue depressor in there, and he starts to give me my throat liner. I said, Doc, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to touch that thing in my tongue and tell me what you think. So he put on gloves and all that. He stuck his finger in that. He goes, oh, that ain't supposed to be there. You need to go to the ENT guy. And so Red River ENT, those guys are awesome over there. Done a lot of stuff with Christian Wood and Jay Batto over there. So I literally called as soon as I walked out of there, and Dr. Battle said he could see me in 2 days, is what it was. So 2 days later, I'm sitting in Jay's office, and I tell Jay kind of about it, and Jay reaches in there and touches, and Jay goes, oh, that ain't supposed to be in there. We need to get you and get a piece of that out. Let's see what that is, but that ain't supposed to be there. So that was November the 15th. I went on the operating table, and so I guess that's kind of when you say this whole journey kind of started, was November the 15th. And so he puts it out, and November 21st was my diagnosis day, or whatever you want to call that. So I go in, and me and Ashley, we don't go to, I'm telling everybody this because I keep telling this story. So me and Ashley don't go to the doctor together. I feel like I'm a big boy. I don't want to say she's a big girl because that always sounds, I don't mean it in that way. It just means she's old enough to take care of herself. So I go to the doctor's office, and when Jay comes in, he asked me, where's Ashley? I said, oh, she's at home. And he goes, well, I'd like to talk to y'all both. Well, when a doctor tells you that he'd like to talk to you and your wife at the same time, you almost know there's a problem. So I got the phone, and I'm texting Ashley, and I said, hey, what you doing? She said, nothing. I said, well, Jay wants to talk to both of us together. She says, I'll put on clothes. I'll be there in a minute. Now, after the fact, she says, at that point, she knew there was a problem. So I tell him she's on her way. So Jay starts talking to me, and he goes, Fred, squamous cells is the normal cancer in somebody's throat and in their tongue area and all that. It's squamous. He said, it's pretty common, and they take care of it. And Jay kind of leaned into me. He goes, but Fred, you don't got that. And he goes, what you have is adenoid carcinoma. And he said, it's a very, very rare. And I said, well, is it cancer? He said, yes. And he said, it's very, very rare. He says only about 1,200 cases a year. So, and Jay goes, there's 4 places. About this time, Ashley comes in, and so he kind of has to get back to that point and says there's 4 places to go to. Well, Caroline goes to LSU. Go Tigers. So I figured that would just be the best part, because he said wherever you go, you're going to need a support system. So what better support than my apprentice and being around the LSU and all that? So I figured that would be where I would go. He said I could go to Baton Rouge, Shreveport, New Orleans, or Houston. And I said, well, Baton Rouge is where I would want to go. And Ashley's kind of sitting there. So now, understand something. I have not, even to this day, not for 1 second freaked out about this or been concerned. I almost wish that I would get concerned, but I'm not, and I have been. Ashley, when I looked at her, I could see concern on her face, but she's the logical one, I guess, of us, and I'm just kind of the emotional, running gun kind of guy. But so I could see on her face. So as we leave, I want to say maybe there might have been some little tears, hug outside, but to me, I'm still just, okay, this is life. We're going to move forward, and we're going to go through our daily routines. So I'm literally driving home, and Ashley goes, I told Jay I want to go do Baton Rouge. So Jay said, I'll make the phone calls and get it all lined up and all that. And this is a Wednesday. So as I'm getting back to my office, my phone rings, and it's Ashley, and she goes, we're not going to Baton Rouge. I said, okay. She goes, why would we go? And nothing against Baton Rouge or any place else on this earth. Why would we go someplace where they do a handful of surgeries? Because Jay had kind of told us that because this thing that was in my throat, he said he pulled my tongue out, and he was only able to get about that much of it out. And he said that it's 7 inches down my tongue, still in there. And he said he pulled it out as far as he could and get as much as he could out. But that it was just the next level thing. So we were thinking robotic surgery. And she goes, we're not going to go someplace where they do a handful of these. Let's go where they do thousands of them. So MD Anderson. So I called Jay Nurse, and we got all that set up to go to MD Anderson. Literally, that next Monday, we arrived at MD Anderson. And so we're thinking robotic surgery and all this. And our first letdown was when the doc came in and said, this really isn't a candidate for robotic surgery. And the reason it's not a candidate for robotic surgery is because this is on the center of my tongue. And for robotic surgery, they have to be able to see the cancer to take it out. And I was let down. I was really let down. So then we go to the next doctor, and I kind of talk about the next doctor. He's the guy that stuck his finger down the throat, and and Ashley's back there. She's just laughing her butt off. Matter of fact, she even asked him, could he do it again? So she got a lot of humor out of that. And this guy's radiation oncologist. And you ever know those doctors? You just know they know their stuff. Well, this guy, you just knew. From the moment he walked into that room, you just knew this was the guy. In his field, this was the guy. And just his presence, God had blessed him with this ability. And obviously, because I believe that doctors are blessed by Jesus Christ and they have this ability. Well, so he tells me radiation. And I said, so we got our hopes up. Okay, well, radiation. Radiation, good. I fear chemo. I've said that on here. Chemo scares me. There's just something innate about putting poison in your body. That just, this old country boy, that just doesn't make sense. Why would you tear your body down? I don't grasp that. And so we're thinking radiation, and I'm all kind of excited because he says you can't proton, and you hear this proton stuff, and very vocal, and they talk about putting this mask on you and all that. So I felt very good about it. So the next day we go into the chemo oncologist because they have a team approach, and the chemo oncologist sees this lung nodule. And that's when letdown number 2 starts. Needless to say, that following Friday we got the follow-up that that we needed to do a PET scan, or I get them all mixed up, but had to come back to Houston and do this. So that's when we did that. And then that's when I put the video on last week that we would not be doing radiation, that we will be doing chemo. Well, I guess I'm here today to say this is getting very frustrating. I'm 1,000,000% at peace, but the wait is very frustrating. And it's not really the wait, it's I guess the fear of the unknown, the not knowing. That's the part that kind of makes you nervous. Every day, somebody reaches out to me. I've had so many people stop by my office, pray with me, put their hands on me, pray with me, and I'm so thankful and so blessed. I've just got what feels like millions of people lifting me, my family up, and all that. And so I carry that with me. And we've been watching Andy Stanley, and the same word keeps coming up in my life. And I like to think that I've always done this. Maybe not, but we've been deep into John and John 13:34. And I actually want to share that with you because to me, this is probably the most important. You know, you have all these commandments and things you're supposed to do in life and all that, but there's one thing. I'm going to tell you this one thing that matters more than anything you're going to do on this earth. If you'll follow this commandment and do this, I think it would eliminate almost all the problems in the world. And for some reason, it's tough, but it was given, and Jesus said this to all the apostles and everything. And in John 13:34, he says, I give you a new command. Love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are also to love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. So we are called to love one another. Now, I was walking through the Walmart park. I wanted red beans and rice. You're from Louisiana, you understand that. But I wanted red beans and rice today. There's not a lot of things that I can eat because I got a sore throat that's constant, and it's like it's getting harder and harder to swallow. But I'm not sure if that's the surgery or what that is. It's just tough. I wanted red beans and rice, so I stopped. And a friend of mine, hope you don't mind, Vilar was walking out of the Walmart. And so we stopped and chatted and talked a little bit and everything. But as we walked off, I was touched because I'm so used to just saying I love you because I do love you. But Mark Vilar told me he loved me. And so often we don't know when someone else feels what we felt. But that situation just made my heart shine. Andy Richards stopped by, a phenomenal story that he told me about actually being in like a dreamlike state at the foot of Christ. These are things that happen in our lives, but we must love one another. So I always like challenging people. So I challenge you tomorrow, Monday, National Championship Day, hug somebody and tell them you love them. I don't want you just to do it because Fred Ruggles said to. I want you to feel it in your heart. You know, we've been talking about feel the feeling, not the goosebumps, the feeling inside. If you truly have the feeling inside, then you have no problem loving others. I don't care your color, black, white, purple, green, blue, big, tall, short, skinny. It doesn't matter. We're called to love everyone. I wish there was some way that I could reach out and hug everybody because that just, to me, that's the most awesomest thing on this world. Okay? So, the last thing, Brother James was talking at church this morning, and I just want to say this in closing. If I've ever offended you personally, please forgive me. because the last thing that I ever wanted to do was hurt somebody's feelings. And back in the day when I coached, I probably hurt a lot of people's feelings. I can remember leaning on that fence and just smiling. A lot of times in the heat of the battle, by not saying nothing, you can dig deeper into somebody. And to me, I think back on those times. But if I ever offended you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I ask you to forgive me. I love you. I truly love you. And I ask that you love others. And I ask that you think every day, how can we be a better person? I got about a week and a half left before we find out the molecular DNA, and figure sometime in that first week of February we'll start the chemo. So I'll touch base at that point in time. I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope that I can tell you, I'll make a prediction tomorrow night. Everybody makes this joke. I'm going to follow along with it. The Tigers will win the national championship. I hope it's the LSU Tigers, but if it's the Clemson Tigers, hats off to them. I love you. Have a great evening. Be safe, and go Tigers.